Good morning, guys. Today is February 24th, 2017. Pre-market is very weak right now. There is not much happening pre-market, not a lot of good gappers, especially with good news. The only one I'm watching from the pre-market watch list is IPCI. It does have a float. It has a higher float. Usually, I look for stocks with a float of 20 million or less. This one is around 23.86 million, so just around that area. But it does have a good news out. It's an FDA approval. But it made a major move pre-market. Now it's kind of, as you guys can see, it's kind of descending down. So the only thing with this is I don't like the pre-market right now, just because it's making lower lows, and it's not really holding any support or anything. So based on all that, I'm gonna be watching it right out of the gate, but I don't know if this is something I'm looking to jump in right away, especially with the higher float and the previous chart history. It usually runs about 30-40 cents. Even on a big volume day like this one right here at 7 million volume, but it only ran about I think it was 30 cents on this day. From 276 to 314. So yeah, just around 30 cents. With high volume like that and then only running 30 cents, it's not really a good sign. So obviously, the stock doesn't have a history of making huge spikes, so it's something that we need to keep in mind. And this might be the only spike it makes, and then the rest of the day just basically closes this gap here. Sorry, it's Friday and I'm just can't talk right now for some reason. So that's pretty much about it off the pre-market scanner, the gap ups. Other thing that I'm watching is Sino. Sino just filed at 13C or 13 schedule 13G. So that's basically anyone owning, anyone taking ownership of 5% or more shares or common stocks. So they just filed that. The only reason I'm watching it, not because of that news, but more likely on a chart setup. I feel like it's been downtrending. First daily candle to make a new high could potentially run. So that's what I'm watching it. Plus it's low on RSI. It's a low float. And you know what? In the past, of any big dips like that, the first candle to make a new high usually runs. It did there. It did there. And now it's just been kind of going down, and then it popped up again. Now, and then it had a bunch of red days in a row, and then it's popping up again. So potentially, it could run. I'll look to get in. Maybe if the volume comes in and it's looking good, maybe over 3 or the break of 3. So we'll see what happens there. It's not something that I need to jump in. It's just I think it has potential, so I'll keep an eye on it. Second thing is I got a couple alerts on EYEG, MOSY, TOPS. All of these are chart setups similar to this. The first daily candle to make a new high, that's what I'm looking for. And then FNCX is one that it's been had a earnings report out back in on the 15th of February, gapped up, and it's just been downtrending since. So I feel like on pre-market it just broke below 1, so that's usually a sign of weakness. A lot of people are going to short this, but I'm just keeping an eye on it. If it starts bouncing like it did yesterday, it could have potential, but it was on very low volume, so it's not my top watch. I'm just keeping it there just to see what happens. I just want to know, when stock does something like that, what are the possibilities of what are the possibilities? What can it do after? So anyways, there's about 10 minutes left to market open. We'll come back to that. Name of the game today, guys, is to just be patient. When pre-market looks weak, most of the times, I looked at the. Sorry, I need to just take a breather. I looked at the futures as well, and the futures are down today. Yesterday markets were down a little. So with all that in mind, market had a huge run up past couple weeks. It's making newer highs, and it's just been a bull market. But we need to keep in mind that if the overall market starts crashing, a lot of the stocks are going to start crashing. People are going to get scared. So today being Friday, we don't need to go into the next week with a huge loss or any loss or anything. We just need to stay patient today, just like yesterday. Yesterday I didn't see any play, so I didn't take any trades. Today, name of the game is the same. If I don't see anything, I don't need to take anything until I get a setup that I'm comfortable taking and that have the high odds of success. I will look to get into that. So only looking for A quality setups again today. And I know it's harder said than done, or it's harder done than said. But it's something that I need to work on personally. I need to make sure that I'm holding back. I'm making sure I'm looking for those A quality setups where I feel like comfortable taking those trades because I've done it in past. And then as long as I wait for those, I'm not going to have the fear of the markets, which usually clouds your judgment most of the time. So I'm just keeping an open mind, letting opportunities come to me and make myself available to those opportunities. And then once I'm in, without hesitation, I'm just going to jump in on a trade that I feel comfortable with and it's fitting my setup. So anyways, we'll come back in about 10 minutes and then we'll go from there. Alright guys, I just got into IPCI at 274, 400 shares. For the red to green move, but it's looking weak here, so I just got out at 268. Obviously I didn't want to see that much of a push. When I got in for the red to green move, I wanted to see it basically push right through. I got in at 274. Got up to 277 and then it got pushed all the way back down, so I didn't like that, so I just got out. Let me see. So yeah, that's all right. I figure if it goes back green, if it goes above the above its open, we'll get a push over 280, and then if he got over 280, the plan was for a potential push to the high of day 302. Break of that, we could see a push up to 312. My target was basically 302ish area. Look to sell around there, but as you guys can see, it didn't work out because as it got pushed down and I didn't like it. If it would have got pushed down a bit and then got started getting some buyers coming in, I would have stayed. But as it started getting pushed down, 268, 268, and then 270. There were some buyers that just couldn't stay. And then once it got pushed through it, I just decided to get out. And it's nice because as you guys can see, it's dropping now. So sometimes I think it was a good trade just because I got in with a specific plan. I figured that if it can get back up there, we could potentially see a run up to 280, back up to 302, but it just doesn't look doesn't look as strong as I thought it will. Also I got in for around here just because I figure if it gets over this little trend line here, we could potentially see a push back up to the high of day or the high of pre-market, but that didn't pan out. So we just took our loss and we walked away. So we're just gonna be watching and see what happens here. Okay, I got in ZSAN as it was popping up. Obviously the plan on this is to see if it can get over 266, the high of day here. I got in at 248, 400 shares. The spread's getting a little tighter now. This could potentially take a run here. There you go, 250, got some big buyers coming in, buying at 250. So basically we just want to see some buyers coming in, some volume coming in, and then if we get past 250, 253, we could potentially see a run back up to 266. That would be ideal to see. A break of 266, we would see a push towards 280s, 3s. So we'll see what happens here. I'm risking off this 242, 240 level. If it gets below that, I will look to basically just get out. But I think, I got in on the break of 250. It could potentially test that back up. We just need to see some volume come in. Right now it's looking a little weak, but we'll just be watching it here and see what happens. Alright, so we just made a newer high here. Now obviously we want to see some volume come in. Obviously my goal is to see if it can get over the 266. Obviously if we get some volume coming in here, get through past this 253 level, there seems to be some hidden buyer here. If we can get past that 253, get back up to 258, potentially run through, potentially push through that, and then we'll see if we can 261. So obviously if we can make a new high there, that would be an ideal play here. So we want to see 266. So let's see if you can make a new high here. 62. There you go. Just made a newer high. Let's pass this 260 level. I want to see it clear nicely, and then go up to 262, take that out. Let's see if you can take out 262 here. There you go. Looks like it's gonna get taken out here. There you go. Obviously we want to see 266. If 266 gets taken out, guys, we potentially have room open up to basically high of 270, 280. So let's see if he can take that out here. Oh, there you go. Looks like it'll get taken out. There you go. 266 is out. The candle just made a new high, and now we're running. Okay, I just got taken out at 275. So I sold at 275. This definitely has potential. It can definitely run up to threes here, but I just got out at 275. From the 248. So let's see what. So about $104. You know what? That's a good win. So I basically top ticked it right there, and that's good. That's good. We'll see what happens here. This could potentially go to 3. I'm not saying it can't. I think it actually can. I could have held it a bit longer, but we're just gonna take what's being given to us. And this might need a pullback too. Like one reason I sold as well, it's like look how overextended it is from its VWAP, from its 9 moving average on the 5-minute chart, right? So I definitely need some pullback. And then we'll see if he can enter on a pullback. Just made a new high actually. No, not yet. It might. Yeah, 276. There you go. So just made a higher high. Now obviously people are coming in. This candle, the one I got out on, there was a lot of volume that came in. So overall, I think it was a good play. It was a good catch. I figured that it has its run up, come down. Now it's kind of coming back up. I'll look to get in on the break of $half mark. Got it, held through the pullback a little. I mean, I could have got it in the 240s, but I just held. I got in. I figure if it break 250, it might just push like this. So it's still running. Like I said, this can definitely see 3 here. Nope, 283. So we'll just be watching it, see what happens here. So guys, ZSAN is approaching 3 here. I sold at 275. Now it's in the 295s. So like I said, it does have potential. I just the reason I sold up here in the 275, it looked a little overextended. I felt like it needed a pullback, and I just wanted to lock in those profits up there. But it's still pretty strong. It's going a little parabolic here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 straight green candles. From the low from the 250s all the way up to 295s. And I feel like it's gonna hit 3. I don't know if it's gonna break 3 without a pullback. It definitely needs a pullback. There looks like there's a pullback right there. So yeah, it definitely needs a pullback. I don't know if I'm gonna look for a 1 minute setup on this. I might look to see if it can. Give me a good 1 minute pullback down to the 270s, or preferably even down to the 260s, like the previous high 266. If that could act as support down in the 270s, 266, around that area, and then we can potentially see another run up. Break of 3 would be possible then, but. Now this definitely has volume coming in. This on this day right here, it had a volume of about 35 million, and it went from 2s all the way up to 350s. Right now I think it had made most of its move. Obviously with a pullback it might have another leg up, but other than that, I don't know if it can go back up to the 350s or break 3, or I don't know. We'll have to see. We'll have to wait and see what happens. But yeah, so we'll be just watching it and see. Alright guys, so 2 trades today, ZSAN and IPCI. IPCI was my first trade. Small loss there due to the fact that I got in for a red to green move. It opened at 275, gets pushed down, starts coming back up. And I saw volume coming in, and I jumped in for the break of 275. And my plan was that if it goes green on the day, if it goes over the open price, we could potentially see a test of 280, which was the pre-market resistance towards the end. And if we break that, then the next target would be basically, break 290 and then test the 302. Break of pre-market highs, that's where I was looking to sell. So that was my plan on that. I got in at 274, got a little better entry than I wanted. I got, I had my order at 276, but I got filled at 274, which was awesome to see. And then, it popped over to 277 real quick, and then it starts dropping a little, and I was like, okay, if it goes below 270, or if this candle goes red, I'll look to just get out. And then as soon as that happened, I got out at 268. So that was my first play. Took a small loss there, from 74 to down to 268. So that's about what, 5, 6, 7 cents. Yeah, sorry, I'm not really good at, no, 4, 5, 6 cents. Sorry, 6 cents. I'm not really good at math. I'm actually in school for accounting, but I'm probably the worst accountant. I shouldn't say that, it's subconsciously telling yourself that, but I'm actually not good at math. Like, I can't do, like, I need to think of the numbers. I'm good, I just need to think. And then second thing, I don't know, I just try to prove myself there. The second thing, I got in as ZSAN. I saw it on the scanner. It had few red down days, but it did recently have a massive run up. So based on that, I was like, okay, if it gets over 250, I'll just tell you what I was looking before I got in. So I was watching this, I see this come up, it starts coming up, building this, touches the 90 MA on the 1 minute, comes up, breaks 250, and that's where I jumped in. I got a better entry on that too. I got filled at 248.99, so 249. My order was placed at 250. That was my limit. Gets filled, pops back down, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna give it some time, just because people need to start noticing this. But I'm gonna give it some time. I'm gonna, my stop was basically below 240. and I was like, I'll give it some time, let it pan out, and you know, it starts curling back up, breaks 250, breaks the high of day at 252, I think it was, the high of this, 253, sorry, breaks 253, runs up, it starts popping up, and I was like, okay, as soon as it gets over 266, which is the previous day high of this candle, which was 266, I figured if it gets over that, a lot of people are going to jump in, and that's exactly what happened. You know, it gets over 266, and it goes all the way up to 295 before a pullback. I ended up selling at 275 because I was watching the 5-minute as well, and the 1-minute, and they both started to get a bit overextended. 275, you know, on the 5-minute was just around here, right? So at that time, you know, the VWAP was a bit lower, the 5 EMA, 9 EMA, they were all a lot lower. So I just figured, I was like, okay, if it gets, you know, I'm better off locking in profits here rather than hoping to see it'll go up to 3, which it did go up to 3. So my prediction was right. I just you know, I wanted to lock in my profits and take what the market was giving me, take the easy move out, and then I basically watched it go up to 295, pull back, touch 3, and then it started basically just downtrending. So obviously the stock didn't have much movement. I mean, you know, if there was some news out, and if it wasn't like a chart play, I might have held it, especially when I started to see this volume coming. But just knowing that it was just a simple chart play, you know, on the daily, the volume, on these days, you know, the volume was 35 million versus 3 million. So obviously the volume wasn't as much. It wasn't like extreme volume coming in. So I just figured that, hey, I'm better off just locking in my profits now, as it is a bit overextended, and then, you know, just see what happens. I could have locked in partial, but a few videos ago, I made up my mind where I was like, you know what, since I'm trading with small shares, for me to lock in partial is probably not the best thing to do right now, just because, you know, there was a couple plays earlier last month, I think it was, or yeah, towards the end of last month, I was locking in partial on 400 shares, 500 shares, so I would sell 200, 300, you know, 10 cents or 20 cents up, and then the rest I would basically either break even or just stop out. But so I figure if I can sell just my whole position at that 20 cents, you know, if I have 400, 500 shares, that's $100 versus selling, you know, 300 and only locking 60, and then, you know, break even on the rest. You give away the fees and everything, and then you end up with, you know, $40, $50, right? But then once you're losing, you lose your whole position, so you end up losing $100 or $80 or $90, whatever, right? And then you gotta add the fees on top. So obviously with markets, you know, it's easier to lose than it is to win. So I just decided that, hey, you know what, for now, I'll just look to lock in all my profits. Just because if I make 20 cents on 400 shares versus making 20 cents on a partial position, so let's say if I was to sell 200 shares at 275 and then the rest basically just backtracked and I ended up break even or ended up selling at 10 cents, I'm not taking the full potential of that play, right? So I figure I'll lock in the whole profits. I mean, this play worked out. I could have taken partial at 275, you know, sell the rest in the 290s, but that's okay, right? Because some plays it's not going to be as this good, so I'm better off just, you know, locking in 25, 30 cents and just giving up my whole position until, you know, I'm trading with bigger size, where I'm trading with, you know, 1,000 shares, 2,000 shares. Then I can be like, okay, you know, I'm 30 cents up on 1,000 shares or 2,000 shares. I can sell 1,000 shares, lock in $300, which is a huge gain, and then I let the rest of the 1,000, you know, run its course or whatever, or set my, you know, stop loss at break even. So that's something I can do later on as I, you know, as I get better, as my size increases. But for now, once I'm trading with 200, 300, 400, 500 shares, I'm just going to look to lock in full profits, you know, whether it's 20 cents, 30 cents, 40 cents. Whenever I want to sell, I'm going to sell the whole position, because that's exactly what happens when I stop out. I stop out on the whole position. So for me to take some partial you know, positions across on the way is just not as beneficial to me as it would be if I was to sell the whole position. Now, that being said, if the stock, let's say, jumps, you know, 50 cents as soon as I get in and I have 500 shares, I would definitely look to sell only 300, right? Because that's $150 that I'm locking in, you know, on the 50 cent gain on those 300, and then the 200 I can rest out. Because if the stock jumped 50 cent right away, that means there's going to be a lot more momentum coming in, and it could go $1, it could go $2, right? So then I can lock in some profits and let it go. But once it's moving, you know, 10, 20 cents, or, you know, 1, 2, 3 cents every minute or 2 minutes, whatever, then I just need to lock in the whole position. So I hope that makes sense. You know, as you guys can see, my watch list for today is mostly red, except IPCI and ZSAN. Those are the two plays I took today. And I'm walking away with the green day today, so which is very nice, you know, closing the Friday on a positive note. Now I'm gonna take the weekend, you know, just to review my stuff, and I have midterms coming up next week. I got a midterm on Monday from school, and I got a midterm Tuesday, so that's gonna be, you know, some stressful time. I gotta study over the weekend for that too, so I'm just gonna be focusing on school over this weekend, and then so Monday when I do come back, I'm not stressed about studies. I can just focus on the trading during that period, and then, you know, hopefully close the month on a positive note. I would love to close this month on a very positive note. Now, if you guys remember, my goal was to close this month with 2,000 in profits. Not in profits, close my month over 2,000 in equity. Right now I'm sitting at 1673. You know, this morning I was at 1609. You know, I added about, you know, $60-70 or $64, I guess, after all the fees and after my first loss. I added some money to my account. Now my goal is obviously to, at least for the end of the month, get over 1,700, hopefully 1,800, right? Depends if I have, you know, if the next couple days, Monday and Tuesday for February, are good. Yesterday and today, things were a bit slow, but I still managed to, you know, yesterday I didn't make any trades, which was great, and that gave me the confidence to take this trade today, because, you know what, I was patient yesterday, and today I was patient as well. With IPCI, I think it was a great trade. It could have worked out the way I wanted. It just didn't have enough juice in it, you know. If it did, it could have, you know, these red to green moves in the past that I've taken have usually been, you know, some of my good plays. So, and that's based on that, that's where I went in. I was like, you know what, if this goes red to green, I would jump in, and it just didn't pan out, and I, you know, safely exited. And then I waited, and then, you know, ZSAN popped up on my scanner, and I was like, you know what, looks good, get it over 250, volume will come in, and that's exactly what happened. So anyways, guys, thanks for watching. I'm gonna end this video here. If you guys have any questions, leave it in the comments. You know, don't forget to subscribe if you have made it this far. Like I said, towards the end of my videos, usually there's something good insight. So hopefully a lot of you guys who do want to learn day trading, or who want to learn, you know, or just try to understand what it is to be a beginning day trader, what kind of struggles you go through. You know, I hope you guys make it to the end of my videos, because it's very beneficial, and I like to listen to towards the end of my video as well, because when I'm just babbling, I feel like there's some good insight that I'm giving out based on my perspective, or based on how much knowledge I currently have in the markets. And you know what, as a beginning trader, as someone who's just new to trading, or just getting started, or maybe a year in and, you know, can't find consistency, I'm going through the same thing. So it's just kind of like, you know, you're not alone, and, you know, I feel like I'm not alone, because I watch other channels, and, you know, I run into other things and see other people on Twitter, or other platforms and stuff, stock twits, whatever, and, you know, people just have the same struggle. So I'm just glad that I'm doing this documentation of my trading journey, because once I get to that consistent level, I'll be able to look back at this and be like, you know what, I made it this far, I can go further. So thanks for watching, guys. Have a great day, and I'll see you guys Monday. Have a great weekend, actually. Take care.